After 4 grueling years, my startup finally secured the tech patent that would make or break us. At the victory party, someone got loud. "So, Luke, when are you and Sabrina finally tying the knot?" Sabrina Vance just laughed, a dismissive, polished sound. "It's just a small tech company. I'm not exactly planning a wedding over it." A few days later, the Reynolds Corporation in New York City announced I was the new heir. Eventually, Sabrina knelt before me, begging me to spare her. I just looked down at her with a wry smile. "Sabrina," I asked, "do you remember her?" Everything I had done from the very beginning was for revenge. "Congratulations, Mr. Reynolds. With this patent approved, your company's IPO is a sure thing. You're going to be Riverton's new tech mogul." I smiled, shaking hands and accepting congratulations from everyone at the party. 5 years. It had taken 5 years to get here, to secure this patent and become the city's rising star. The buzz was all around me. "Luke Reynolds is the whole package," someone else chimed in. "Young, successful, and he's got a girlfriend who's as beautiful as she is rich. Talk about winning at life." I just smiled and didn't comment. As the party was winding down, I got a text from my girlfriend, Sabrina Vance. "Congrats to my brilliant boyfriend on landing the patent. I've booked a table at the Cypress Room tonight to celebrate you." I smiled and typed back a single word. "Perfect." I met Sabrina 5 years ago at an investor conference. My company, Riverfront Tech, was brand new and desperate for seed funding. Her family's company, Vance Industries, needed a new R&D partner. Sabrina was there representing her family, with her long, dark hair and a knockout smile. It felt like an instant connection. She was receptive to my advances, playing a game of alluring but distant. After just a few dates, I knew she was the one I'd been looking for. So I went all in. Soon, we were official. That same year, Riverfront Tech became the exclusive R&D contractor for Vance Industries, solving one technical nightmare after another. With every win, Sabrina's own standing within her family's empire climbed. She always told me I was her lucky charm, that she was going to marry me one day. I'd always smile back and say, absolutely. Nothing's ever going to tear us apart. By the time our company party ended, I was exhausted, ready to collapse. My assistant, Matt, was grinning like an idiot. I shot him a tired look. "What are you so happy about?" He was even more ecstatic than I was. "I'm just so thrilled for you, Luke. With this patent, you can finally marry Sabrina. The Vances won't be able to look down on you anymore." I just smiled, not wanting to get into it, and told Matt to make sure every employee got a generous bonus, especially the R&D team, a fat check for each of them, on top of their regular bonuses. Just then my phone rang. It was Sabrina. "Luke, darling, is the party over?" Her voice was as smooth and melodic as ever. "Just wrapped up. On my way to you now. Wait for me." I got in my car and told the driver the address. Sabrina's voice took on a slightly wounded tone. "I've been waiting for an hour, Luke. My friends are getting impatient." I laughed and made some excuses about traffic, promising I'd be there soon. She was still a little annoyed, but knew there was nothing to be done about rush hour, so she let it go. "Okay, honey, just drive safe." The truth was, even during rush hour, the drive was quicker than I expected. I was at the restaurant in no time. I pulled out my phone to text her, then stopped. Better to surprise her. The Cypress Room was Riverton's most lavish French restaurant, all dim lighting and velvet. I walked up to their private dining room and could already hear Sabrina chatting with her friends inside. Before I could go in, I caught a few words that made me freeze. "Sabrina, that patent Luke just landed is huge. Every company wants a piece of it. I assume Vance Industries has it locked down, right?" "Of course," Sabrina said. "Luke and I already have an agreement. He's giving Vance Industries exclusive, royalty-free use." Then, another friend asked in a sly, teasing voice, "So, are we going to be hearing wedding bells soon? I mean, a guy as brilliant as Luke. You'd better lock that down." The room fell completely silent. The hand I had raised to push open the door hung in the air. After a long moment, Sabrina's voice cut through the quiet. "He's got some talent, I'll give him that. But a small-time tech company? That's not getting me a seat at the Vance family table. I'm just using him." She added, a little quieter, "But don't tell anyone. I'm planning on breaking up with him right after the patent licensing is signed." A chorus of giggles and excited chatter erupted from her friends. "Sabrina, you're ruthless. Even a guy as amazing as Luke isn't good enough for you." "I know, right? But he is so hot." I leaned against the doorframe, a cold, cynical smile spreading across my face. 5 years of my life, for years of dating, all boiled down to a single phrase. I'm just using him. The technology we developed had earned Vance Industries at least $1 billion in profit. And now, behind my back, this is how she talked about me, equating our entire relationship to a simple business transaction. So much for trust. But then again, shouldn't I have known who she was all along? I didn't hesitate any longer. I pushed the door open and walked in. Sabrina and her friends stared at me, their faces a mixture of shock and panic. I fixed my gaze on Sabrina, a look so piercing it made her flinch and look away. I let out a low chuckle. Thanks for throwing me a party, Sabrina. And thank you all for coming. The affectionate warmth I usually had in my eyes was gone. Sabrina's gaze, when it met mine again, was full of calculation and a thinly veiled contempt. Her friends, suddenly terrified of saying the wrong thing, plastered on fake, fawning smiles, trying to pretend nothing happened. Megan, Sabrina's best friend and the one I knew best, stood up and tried to guide me to the seat next to Sabrina. Luke, you should have told us you were here. We would have given you a proper welcome. You're the man of the hour, Riverton's tech prodigy. The sky's the limit for you now. Megan's family also ran a tech firm, so she, more than anyone, understood the value of my new patent. She was desperately trying to smooth things over. Luke, Sabrina was just joking around. You two are a perfect match. There's no way you'd ever break up. She nudged Sabrina. Tell him. We were just being silly. Our bad. We apologize. But I knew Sabrina too well. What I just heard wasn't a joke. It was the truth she'd been hiding for 4 years. I gently pushed Megan's hand away and looked straight at Sabrina. I spoke slowly, each word deliberate. Sabrina, are you sure you were joking? Sabrina glared at me, her eyes flashing with anger at being caught, but mostly, I think, at my audacity for calling her out. She stood up slowly, her expression petulant. I met her gaze, the forced smile on my own face finally dissolving. After a long, tense moment, she managed to conjure up one of her dazzling smiles, but her words were ice. Look, don't forget, your company wouldn't be where it is today without the backing of Vance Industries. Without me, you'd still be handing out flyers on some street corner. I almost laughed out loud. The nerve of this woman was unbelievable. From day one, it was Vance Industries that had been taking advantage of my small company. Riverfront Tech got to where it was because I paid top dollar to recruit the best engineers and, more importantly, because of the quiet support from the Reynolds family in New York. What had Sabrina Vance ever done? She benevolently accepted our patents at a fraction of their market value. To save her pride, I'd even let her take control of several patents with signed contracts but no money down. My own team had been complaining about it for years, and now she had the gall to claim her family was the reason for my success. Seeing the mockery in my eyes, Sabrina's face hardened. She stood taller, her arrogance on full display. She opened her mouth to say something else, but I held up a hand to stop her. Megan looked mortified. Come on, guys. If you're going to fight, can you not make it so ugly? Sabrina's eyes were filled with a cold, venomous resentment. Luke, I'll admit, after 4 years, I have feelings for you. But what I said is the truth. The CEO of some little tech startup isn't worthy of marrying me. I suggest you don't push this too far. Don't make the Vance family decide to crush you. Her arrogance was staggering. I'd love to see your family try. Fine, I said, my voice flat. I'll be waiting. Sabrina, we're done. Without another glance at her, I turned and walked out. She shrieked behind me, her voice shrill with fury. Luke Reynolds, you'll regret this. I didn't bother turning around. We'd see who regretted what. A woman as proud as Sabrina Vance wasn't going to take being publicly dumped lying down. The retaliation was swift. That same night, the calls started coming in. Business partners, one after another, pulling their contracts. Luke, there are still some issues with your product. We've decided to go in another direction. Sorry, but your company's tech doesn't meet our current requirements. Maybe we can work together again in the future. My employees, who had been celebrating just hours before, were now walking around like ghosts. It was true. In Riverton, crossing the Vance family was a commercial death sentence. I was probably the only one in the entire office who wasn't panicking. My phone rang. It was my dad. Son, that new patent is impressive. Does the Reynolds Corporation need to help you with the rollout? My old man always cared more than he let on. He didn't say it directly, but his tone told me he already knew everything that had happened. I smiled. Don't worry, Dad. A patent in my hands is a patent in the corporation's hands. It's time to merge Riverfront into the parent company anyway. There was a stunned silence on the other end of the line, followed by a surge of excitement. You finally figured out. It's long overdue, I said. Once things are settled here, I'm coming home. When I hung up, my assistant, Matt, was sweating, frantically trying to salvage a deal on his phone. I walked over and clapped him on the shoulder. Don't stress, Matt. It's not a big deal. He slammed his phone down on the desk, the screen going dark. His eyes were red. Seeing a grown man pushed to the brink like this was a testament to the Vances ruthlessness. Luke, the Vances are shameless, he seethed. They're actively blocking our clients, telling everyone not to work with us. and they just made a lowball offer to buy the patent outright. I had to laugh. Classic Vance family tactics. But with my father's support, none of it mattered. Besides, I would let that patent rot in a vault before I ever sold it to Vance Industries. Our R&D team had worked around the clock for 6 months on it. We had poured countless hours and resources into it, at least $10 million in development costs alone. The market potential was massive. We were talking tens of billions in future revenue. My dad moved fast. Before I could even get our PR team on it, the announcement came from New York. The Reynolds Corporation has conducted a thorough review of the patent developed by Riverfront Tech and has determined it to be of immense investment value, poised to lead the next wave of technological advancement. The corporation has decided to make a significant investment in Riverfront Tech and enter into a deep strategic partnership. At the press conference, the Reynolds Corporation spokesman spoke glowingly about Riverfront's future, officially announcing the capital injection. Almost immediately, the phone started ringing again. The same partners who had just canceled were now begging to get back in. They all said the same thing. It was all a big misunderstanding. They'd been short-sighted, and they hoped for another chance to collaborate. Business is business. I wasn't about to turn away money. The Vance family was furious about this turn of events, but they were powerless to stop it. The next morning, I got a text from my father's assistant. It contained a dossier that explained everything. Sabrina hadn't just turned on me. She'd already lined up my replacement, Dylan Jiang, the eldest son of the powerful Jiang family, also from New York. For years, with Riverfront's technical support, Vance Industries had broken through its stagnation and grown exponentially. To take the next step, they didn't just need more tech. They needed a massive infusion of capital. Jiang Holdings was more than qualified. In Sabrina's eyes, while my patent was valuable, it was nothing compared to the power and money of the Jiang family. Besides, before the patent was finalized, she had already tricked Riverfront Tech into signing an agreement that licensed it to Vance Industries for far below market value. She had it all planned out. In her mind, the game was already won. I stared at the information on my phone and let out a short, sharp laugh. I wondered what her face would look like when she finally realized that the whole time, Riverfront Tech had been backed by the Reynolds Corporation, a family every bit as powerful as the Jiangs. 3 days later, I was back in New York City, sitting in my father's study, sipping tea with him. 5 years ago, when I told him I was going to strike out on my own and start a company, he almost broke my leg. He swore he wouldn't give me a single dime, but maybe it's in the Reynolds blood, an instinct for business. I locked myself in my room for 3 days. When I came out, my eyes were bloodshot, but I had a complete business plan in my hands. My father finally relented. "It's been so many years, and you still can't let it go," he said, his voice heavy. "If this is what you have to do, then I won't stop you. Go do what you feel you must." I nodded. What happened was too suspicious. Her family won't fight for her, so I will. My father said nothing, but his silence was permission. "It's been so many years, and you still can't let it go," he said, his voice heavy. "If this is what you have to do, then I won't stop you. Go do what you feel you must." I nodded. What happened was too suspicious. Her family won't fight for her, so I will. My father said nothing, but his silence was permission. He gave me 5 years. If I could figure it out in 5 years, the Reynolds family would provide limited support. But only 5 years. If I came up empty, I had to give it up and come home to take over the family business. I went 1,000 miles away to Riverton to start a company for one reason, to find out the truth. Autumn Bailey was my childhood sweetheart. We'd gone to the same schools from kindergarten all the way through college. In our senior year, she finally agreed to be my girlfriend. But her family was middle class, far from what the Reynolds family expected for an in-law. They tolerated my rebellion while we were in school, but the moment we graduated, they forced us apart. I loved her. I fought for her, argued until I was hoarse. But my family wouldn't budge. Heartbroken, Autumn moved to Riverton to start her own company. I knew what she was doing. She wanted to build something herself, to become someone the Reynolds family couldn't refuse. She turned down all my offers of help, insisting she had to do it on her own. It was that fierce independence that I admired most about her. 6 years ago, while I was busy fending off a series of arranged dates my parents had set up, I got the call. She had died in a car crash. It happened so suddenly. The official investigation concluded it was an accident, leaving no loose ends. But I knew better. Just a few days before she died, she had called me. Her voice was strained. "Luke, the company's in trouble. It's so hard. But don't worry, I'm not giving up. Wait for me. Luke, the company's in trouble. It's so hard. But don't worry, I'm not giving up. Wait for me." Now, the fish has taken the bait. It's time for me to return to my family, to wait for the storm to break. My father had aged. 5 years ago, he was the indomitable head of the Reynolds Corporation. Now his hair was threaded with gray. He didn't object to my plans. He just told me that from now on, the family business was mine to lead. After leaving the family estate, I met up with my assistant, Matt. I had hired him right after founding Riverfront Tech, and he'd been indispensable. He looked at me, confused. Luke, what are we doing in New York? Didn't we already sign the partnership agreement with the Reynolds Corporation? Is there a problem? Luke, what are we doing in New York? Didn't we already sign the partnership agreement with the Reynolds Corporation? Is there a problem? I smiled at the man who had been by my side for 5 years and made him an offer. My last name is Reynolds, Matt. I'm in New York to inherit the family business. My last name is Reynolds, Matt. I'm in New York to inherit the family business. Matt's jaw dropped. He was a good man, incredibly capable and loyal. I wanted him to continue as my assistant at the main corporation. Bringing him to New York was my way of giving him the choice. He stared at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. It took him a long moment to stammer out a reply. I thought Riverfront Tech was a big deal. I never imagined I could one day work for the Reynolds Corporation. I thought Riverfront Tech was a big deal. I never imagined I could one day work for the Reynolds Corporation. He had handled all the preliminary merger talks, so he knew exactly how massive this was. The next day, Riverfront Tech issued an official statement announcing it had been fully acquired and would operate as a subsidiary of the Reynolds Corporation. The news sent shockwaves through the industry. The number of companies clamoring to work with us exploded. Even Sabrina called. I almost didn't answer, but then I remembered we still had scores to settle. I picked up. Luke, are you insane? She screeched. If you were going to sell the company, you should have sold it to Vance Industries. If you were going to sell the company, you should have sold it to Vance Industries. Her voice was choked with fury. She had seen the Reynolds announcement, but had naively assumed it was just an investment. And don't you forget, she added, the patent is already licensed to us. And don't you forget, she added, the patent is already licensed to us. In response, I just gave a soft, non-committal, do you have any idea how much damage you'll cause Vance Industries by breaking our contract? Can you afford to pay? She demanded. Luke, I'm giving you 2 options. Either you honor our agreement and transfer the patent license to us immediately, or we'll see you in court. Your choice. Do you have any idea how much damage you'll cause Vance Industries by breaking our contract? Can you afford to pay? She demanded. Luke, I'm giving you 2 options. Either you honor our agreement and transfer the patent license to us immediately, or we'll see you in court. Your choice. It was clear I'd spoiled her these past few years. She really thought she was untouchable. I couldn't help but laugh. Ms. Vance, I said, my voice dripping with mock politeness. After Riverfront's merger with the Reynolds Corporation, all existing contracts will be honored. However, given Vance Industries' history of contractual fraud, we are already preparing a lawsuit of our own. You should be hearing from our lawyers very soon. Ms. Vance, I said, my voice dripping with mock politeness. After Riverfront's merger with the Reynolds Corporation, all existing contracts will be honored. However, given Vance Industries' history of contractual fraud, we are already preparing a lawsuit of our own. You should be hearing from our lawyers very soon. Over the 4 years of our partnership, Vance Industries had fallen at least $50 million behind on payments. On top of that, dozens of our licensing agreements had expired, but they had continued to use our tech without renewing. The reason was simple. Sabrina had played the relationship card, dangling the promise of marriage in front of me. She must have thought I was just some love-struck fool completely under her spell. After setting a trap this big, it would be a shame not to let her suffer in it. The company's legal team had already compiled all the evidence and was initiating proceedings. The merger itself went smoothly. Aside from me, most of Riverfront shareholders were key members of the R&D team. No one objected to the acquisition. The terms offered by the Reynolds Corporation were too generous to refuse. Now that the dust had settled, it was time for me to step back onto the New York stage. The Reynolds family was a major player here. To mark my return, they threw a massive gala. Invitations were the hottest ticket in town. Everyone wanted to be there to get a moment of my time, to forge a new alliance. I've been out of the New York social scene for 5 years. Coming back, I'll admit, felt a little strange. Shaking off the feeling, I walked toward the ballroom with Matt. And, as fate would have it, I ran right into Sabrina and Dylan Jiang at the entrance. Sabrina's face was a dark cloud, her eyes burning with hatred as she looked at me. What's this? Is the Reynolds family letting just anyone into their parties now? She sneered. You sell your little company to kiss up to them, and now you think you're somebody? Don't get confused. Just because your last name is Reynolds doesn't mean you're one of them. I rubbed my nose. I couldn't fathom where she got this confidence. Whatever. I was in a mood to trade insults tonight, so I'd save her for later. I started walking past them into the ballroom, but Sabrina's voice followed me. Security. Where's security? He doesn't have an invitation. He's here to cause trouble. A staff member, looking a bit puzzled but still professional, stepped in front of me. Sir, may I please see your invitation? You gotta be kidding me. I need an invitation to my own party? The thing was, I didn't actually have one. Seeing me hesitate, Sabrina's sharp, cruel voice rang out again. What's wrong, Luke? Just latched onto the Reynolds family, and you can't even score an invitation? Did they use you up and toss you aside like a dog? TSK, TSK. See? I told you breaking up with you was the right move. The staff member's tone was still polite, but his expression was firm. I'm sorry, sir. No one is allowed inside without an invitation. Sabrina looked utterly triumphant as she took Dylan's arm and swept into the party. Dylan, for his part, just gave me a small, unreadable smile. I shrugged and called my father's assistant. The guy on the other end of the line was speechless when I told him the heir to the Reynolds Corporation was being blocked at the door of his own party. Once inside, I saw a few of my old friends. I hadn't seen them in years. I walked over to say hello, but we barely exchanged a few words when Sabrina's grating voice cut in from behind me. Luke, you are truly disgusting. I told you we were over. Don't think for a second that following me here will make me take you back. Seriously? Where does she get this stuff? Her runway flat figure. A playful smile touched my lips as I turned to face her. Sorry, Ms. Vance, but I'm only interested in human beings these days. Sabrina's composure cracked instantly. We were just getting started, and she was already losing it. You son of a bitch, Luke. How did you even get in here? My friends were watching her like she was a circus act. None of them knew who this crazy woman was, but they were all enjoying the show. Sabrina, I said coolly, I didn't see a veterinarian on the guest list. If you're sick, you come to the wrong place. One of my friends couldn't take it anymore. We all ran in the same circles, and he stepped in to defend me. I don't know what backwater family you crawled out of, he said, looking her up and down with disdain, but crashing a Reynolds party to find a sugar daddy is pathetic. You should read fewer trashy novels. Nobody here is interested. The color drained from Sabrina's face. As a pampered heiress used to constant admiration, she couldn't handle the insult. But today, she had no choice but to swallow it. She recognized the man who spoke, one of New York's most notorious playboy billionaires. She couldn't afford to cross him. Just then, Matt appeared, frowning slightly. Mr. Reynolds, it's almost time. Should we head backstage? I nodded and followed him, leaving Sabrina staring daggers at my back. I just smiled and didn't say another word. Soon, the main event began. My father stood on stage, addressing the crowd. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. Today marks the official return of my son to the Reynolds family. I won't say much more. Instead, I'll let my son, Luke Reynolds, introduce himself. I walked onto the stage calmly, my eyes briefly landing on Sabrina. Her face was ashen, utterly horrified. Thank you all for coming, I began. I'm just getting my bearings taking over the family business, so I ask for your patience and guidance. I finally managed to get through the evening. As I was walking through the hotel lobby, I saw Sabrina waiting for me alone. I raised an eyebrow. Couldn't wait to grovel, could she? She looked up at me with a sickeningly sweet expression, her posture disturbingly humble. Luke, darling, I was wrong about everything before, but you never told me you were part of the Reynolds family. I offered a sarcastic smile. My last name is Reynolds. Who else's family would I belong to? She was speechless, but quickly recovered, forcing another pleading smile. She was right, of course, but her failure to realize who I was wasn't my fault. It was hers. She was either an idiot or just too arrogant to bother looking into the background of the man she was dating. From the beginning, I had been discreet about my identity, but it wasn't a total secret. If she had put in even the slightest effort, she would have found the connection. But she was a princess, used to the world revolving around her. She never bothered with due diligence on people she considered beneath her. I watched her, a look of amusement on my face. Ms. Vance, if there's nothing else, I'd appreciate it if you left me alone. We wouldn't want to upset Mr. Jiang, would we? I gestured behind me with my head. Sabrina turned and saw Dylan Jiang standing a short distance away, his face as dark as a thundercloud. She gave a nervous laugh. Before she could say another word, I walked away with Matt, leaving her to deal with her mess. Over the next few days, Sabrina blew up my phone with calls and texts. She even started engineering accidental run-ins. It got so annoying that I finally laid into Matt. What's your problem? Why hasn't the court date been set yet? He looked miserable, but took the verbal lashing without a word of complaint. The yelling, however, seemed to work. Soon after, our case against Vance Industries for copyright infringement and non-payment of licensing fees went to trial. With an airtight chain of evidence and the Reynolds Corporation's undefeated legal team, the outcome was never in doubt. Vance Industries was ordered to pay the $50 million in arrears, plus damages for over 30 instances of expired patent use. The total came to $300 million. While that might seem like a drop in the bucket for a company as large as Vance Industries, it was all liquid capital. The verdict plunged them into a severe financial crisis. During this time, Sabrina came to me to beg for mercy. After some thought, I agreed to see her. She had already learned to ignore my sarcastic remarks, her face fixed in a practiced, submissive smile. She was surprisingly resilient. "Luke," she pleaded, "for the sake of what we once had, please let Vance Industries off the hook." I was done playing games with her. I had everything I needed. All that was left was the slow, satisfying burn of revenge. I walked behind her and gave the back of her knee a light kick, sending her to the floor. It was better if she spoke to me from her knees. I patted her cheek gently. "Ms. Vance, I don't have time to listen to your sentimental nonsense. I expect the money to be transferred to Riverfront Tech's account promptly. Otherwise, we will file for compulsory enforcement, and your family's name will be dragged even further through the mud." I leaned in closer. "I don't care how you do it. You have 1 month." Sabrina left empty-handed, looking like a ghost. Matt told me that Vance Industries, in the end, had swallowed its pride and gone to Jiang Holdings for a loan, accepting brutally harsh terms. It made sense. Sabrina was still Dylan Jiang's girlfriend, after all. Why wouldn't she leverage that connection? Seeing my good mood, Matt voiced the question that had been bothering him. "Luke, aren't you worried that Jiang Holdings will fully side with Vance Industries? They're still a powerful company." He added, "And from the looks of it, Dylan Jiang seems to really like Sabrina." I burst out laughing. After a moment, I said playfully, "Let's let Sabrina make that bet. Who knows? Maybe Dylan is a hopeless romantic." Matt shook his head. He clearly didn't believe for a second that a man like Dylan Jiang was driven by love. I didn't bother explaining. In the following weeks, the Reynolds Corporation relentlessly squeezed Vance Industries, backing them into a corner. They became more and more dependent on Jiang Holdings for survival. With us breathing down their neck, Sabrina clung to Dylan like a lifeline. I heard she was at his beck and call, completely subservient. That didn't sound like the Sabrina Vance I knew at all. I picked up my phone and sent a short text. "The time is right. I've been busy taking over the family business and hadn't heard anything about Sabrina for a while." Then, the news broke online. Jiang Holdings had completed a total acquisition of Vance Industries. I couldn't miss this. I found some time to pay Sabrina a visit. The once arrogant heiress was a wreck. Her entire family was crammed into a dingy rental apartment. Their fall from grace had been brutal. I was satisfied. I smiled at her. "Sabrina, how did you manage to lose your entire company?" She immediately dropped to her knees, her eyes wide with terror. Good. I was pleased with this reaction. At least this time, I didn't have to kick her. She was learning. "Luke, please help me," she begged, her voice cracking. "Dylan, he's a monster. He used the loan to interfere in company affairs," she sobbed. "In just 1 month, he took complete control. I have nothing left." I shrugged, my tone dripping with schadenfreude. "You just now figuring that out? You made a deal with a shark, Sabrina. Who did you think the Jiangs were? What made you think you were worthy of marrying into their family? This just proves one thing. You're an absolute fool." Sabrina broke down completely, wailing and pleading. "What do I do? My family is millions of dollars in debt. Luke, please, I'll do anything you ask. Please help me." I clenched my jaw, pretending to think. "All right," I said finally. "I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to Dylan. We'll see." She crawled forward and threw her arms around my legs. "Luke, thank you. I'll spend the rest of my life repaying you, I swear." The cruelest way to destroy someone is to give them a glimmer of hope, only to snuff it out. Dylan, as a favor to me, agreed to cancel all of Sabrina's debts. But there was one condition. For the next 3 years, she had to do whatever he said, no questions asked. Sabrina had no choice. She agreed immediately. In her mind, she was probably imagining a life as a kept woman, a gilded cage. That day, after a month of overcast skies, the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds over Riverton. Dylan Jiang was a guest at my penthouse. I poured 2 glasses of red wine, and we sat across from each other. "Is she gone?" I asked. Dylan nodded, his gaze fixed on the sky outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. "She left this morning. Should be there by now." He paused. "Want to see?" After a moment of silence, I nodded. He connected a video call. On the screen, Sabrina's face was contorted in terror. "What are you doing? Let me go." "Dylan, Luke, please let me go." Ignoring her screams, I spoke, my voice cold and flat. "You reap what you sow, Sabrina. You have to pay for what you did." She was completely unhinged, unable to comprehend why this was happening. She knelt on the floor, shrieking. "Luke, is it because I wanted to break up with you? Because I used Riverfront Tech? Is that why you hate me this much?" I stared at her through the screen, my eyes devoid of any sympathy. After a long moment, I said one thing. Do you remember Autumn Bailey? Instantly, the color drained from Sabrina's face. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. Autumn Bailey? What does she have to do with you? At this point, I was done playing games. She was my girlfriend, I said, and she was Dylan's cousin. Sabrina froze, then began to struggle wildly, like a trapped animal. I didn't know. She never said anything. I didn't kill her. It wasn't me. Seeing that she finally understood, Dylan waved his hand, and the man on the other end cut the video feed. I turned to look at him. Knowing you won't let her off that easy. Dylan nodded and lit a cigarette. I've made arrangements with some people in South America. She'll spend the next 3 years atoning for her sins in one of their jungle compounds. After that, she can go apologize to Autumn in person. I was satisfied with that answer. A quick death would have been too merciful, not nearly enough to quench the rage that had burned inside me for years. Dylan looked at me, his lips parted